Rob Manfred is a tool. But that doesn't mean everything he says I disagree with. I don't like the guy. I don't trust the guy. Anything that comes out of his mouth, I'm thinking, what's the ulterior motive here? However, I gotta admit, hearing him talk about the playoffs, I was kind of nodding my head.
We'd like to expand the playoffs, which is good for players and for clubs. It's also good for our fans, the vast majority of whom enjoy playoff baseball.
It's good for the players and for the clubs. It's also good for our fans. Expanded playoffs. I actually agree with him. And notice that he doesn't talk about, it's good for determining the best team. Let's face it, the way the postseason is now, it's not about crowning the best team in baseball that season. It's a tournament. It's a tournament of baseball. A 162-game season gets condensed into, a 5-game series, a 7-game series, and a 7-game series. This is not the best way to determine who the best team in baseball was any given year. It is what it is. Does that cheapen the regular season to some degree, expanding the playoffs? It does. But I agree with him. It's a long season. It's a very long season, and I feel like you want as many of your markets in the hunt, at least, for as long as possible.
We think the new format will encourage more clubs to compete while giving more players the opportunity to participate in the postseason.
And even though I think he's right, this also feels like a trap. Because from a competitive standpoint, if you think about it, if a team coming into the season is sort of projecting things out and thinking, we're probably 10 wins away from even qualifying for the postseason. If you expand the playoffs, there's some more spots out there. Maybe that's cut from 10 to 5. You only feel like you're 5 games out. Now you're sort of starting to think, well, if we do this, if we do that, if we make some moves here, we could have a shot. Once you get in, anything can happen. As the Atlanta Braves proved the worst team to qualify for the postseason last year, wins the World Series, and all the great things that are going to happen to that organization from that. What's that going to do to the top of the market? That's a great question. I'm not sure. You would hope that it wouldn't do anything, but the Yankees had a higher payroll in 2005 than they did last season in 2021. Why? Well, mostly because of the luxury tax, which the owner's side assured before it came in that it wouldn't function as a salary cap. It essentially has. So it might shoot in the foot, and the top of the market might come down. Because, if you're the Dodgers, why are you going to spend an extra $40 million in your payroll when, you can walk into the playoffs, essentially, with a $150 million payroll or something? I don't know. Just throwing that out there. And, of course, I'm approaching this whole conversation from more of a fan perspective of the playoff format. Of course, there's intricacies in the money that gets pulled in, because that's the thing too. More postseason games is going to pull in a ton more money, and the way that's divided up, clearly the players are going to want their fair share of that cut, and that is the guts of what is going to be negotiated here. So I don't want to lose sight of that either. I do like expanded postseason, and both sides are moving that direction.
I am an optimist, and I believe we will have an agreement in time to play our regular schedule.
Another thing we've learned this week is that MLB has a counter proposal planned. I don't know if it's just getting the finishing touches, but they're going to deliver that on Saturday. Why? Why are we waiting even more at this point? I don't know. MLB has been controlling the clock this entire lockout. It took them 6 weeks to offer their first counter proposal, and now we're kind of sitting on our hands some more, whatever. The pace has been in their hands, absolutely. So even though I don't trust Rob Manfred at all, I don't really take anything he says to be that seriously. I do find it somewhat encouraging that he is putting out a front that he's optimistic that we're going to have an agreement in time to get the regular season underway. That's how I've been feeling this entire time. That just makes too much sense. Yes, spring training is going to be impacted. That's a shame. It's going to be shortened, but we're sitting here on February 10th. There's still a lot of time. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thanks for checking this out. We'll talk again soon. Rob Manfred is a tool.